As I'm recording this episode, it's Monday, the 27th of October, and we're about to go live on Wednesday for our final free masterclass of 2025. And so, as I was preparing today's mini podcast, I was sitting with the question: what is something that I have not shared in one of the free sessions yet that's going to bring so much value to my listeners? And I had an experience on Friday that gave me a really profound insight. Because on our journey of growth and of running a business and of reaching new levels of success and income, it is often the simplest of things that make a profound difference. As it's in those day-to-day moments when we can feel overwhelmed, anxious, when we're worried because the results aren't coming in yet, and we can be concerned about future and finances and is what I'm doing really working? Am I supposed to be feeling this way? And it can be the simplest of things heard in crucial moments that help us to have the faith to keep moving forwards, that bring us back into our power. And the reason that this message landed is Friday I was in a really important meeting. It was a pivotal moment in my business. And I'm really excited to share this part of the behind the scenes with you. So, welcome to this week's episode of your Power Packed Podlets. My name is Rachel, and I'm your host for these mini magical journeys together. And let me take you on a journey behind the scenes. On Friday, I had a meeting with my accountant and my lawyer, as on paper, I'm officially going from self-employed to the owner of a company. And I'm going through the legalities of going from, on paper, being a small business owner to registering the school as official company. And I remember walking through the doors of the office, and my accountant came up to me, and she had my numbers from the last 3 years in her hand. And she looked at me and said, "Rachel, are you playing in the field of the quantum?" And I was quite surprised by this, as I didn't know that she was into these sorts of things. And then she said, "I really want to know your secrets." And there was so much depth to what she said, because I know that she works with really successful businesses. And the fact that she had my numbers in her hand, what she was saying is, this isn't something I usually see. It's not normal to see this level of growth so fast. And so I wanted to share with you one of the biggest things that has made the difference. And before I do, we're going live on Wednesday for our final free session of this year. This masterclass, 90 minutes together, it's going to be teaching you the science and the psychology behind your next quantum leap. And this is going to really give you deep insights into what can cause you to hold back, what can cause you to feel like sometimes you're holding your breath and maybe staying small or staying in the realms of what you've always known. And it's going to give you an explanation of what's going on within you so that you feel safer as you're navigating, moving into unknown territory. Those of you who've done the terror barrier training with me, I know you found that super powerful. This is going to take it to a whole other level. We're going to be covering things we've never covered before. So if you've not signed up for that masterclass, I'll include the link in the description to this audio. And what added another layer of depth to what we'll be going over is, and I'm going to try not to get emotional sharing this story, as in the meeting on Friday, I got emotional. After having the conversation around all of the legalities and the financial investments in becoming a company, the lawyer left the room and my accountant and I were left alone. And she slid the piece of paper of my numbers over to me with all of the income, the outgoings, the expenditures, everything broken down from the last 3 years. And she started taking me through it. And as she was chatting away, she didn't see it first, there was a really deep emotion coming up in me. And the first thought in my mind was, maybe I'll just wait to feel this emotion until I'm in private. And then I thought, no, you know what? This woman has been there with me through it all. She's seen the first initial period of time where there was more going out than coming in, when I was making these massive investments that didn't make logical sense. And now she's here seeing the fruits of that courage. And so when she asked me about the secrets as I walked through the door, really that was what was showing on paper. Because I remember back then her saying to me, why are you making such big investments when so little is coming in? And now looking back in retrospect, I'm so grateful to have had the courage and the insight to do that. Because between then and now, it's not just the education. It's having that voice in my ear consistently reminding me that sometimes feeling afraid is normal and okay. Because this is the thing, as you're running your business, if you're moving into unknown territory consistently, which if you're growing consistently, it means you most likely are, there are going to be times when you potentially feel like an imposter. When you're the beginner, it requires you be the beginner again and again. And once you master something, you are then stepping back into being the beginner and not really knowing what you're doing and learning your way, feeling as though you're feeling your way in the dark. And you're taking one step forwards and another step forwards, and it takes courage because you don't know where your foot's going to land, and you don't know if the things that you're doing are going to work out the way that you hope they will. And so it's only normal as we step into unknown territory, not only that fear arises, also the programs that keep us in the old will also come to the surface. If the identity you have been living through up until that moment wasn't one of being successful or being a leader or being a woman who owns and runs a company, there will be resistance in you. There will be a voice inside telling you to stay in familiar territory. This is only normal. And to be having that, what felt like a hand on my shoulder, that feeling when someone is there and the nervous system relaxes. Somebody who was 10, 20, 50 steps ahead of me on the road being able to say, yeah, I know what you're feeling. I've been there. It's totally normal. You're doing great. Something so simple to make such a profound difference. And so my desire with the Podlet today is to be that reminder for you. That as you're walking this path, feeling afraid is normal. And in fact, for what is birthed on the other side of that fear to be a new level of success, a new level of income, of impact, of confidence, it does require that you face that fear and move forwards. Because a huge part of having the most fantastic time running your business, it's not about avoiding pain, avoiding failure, avoiding being a beginner, avoiding fear. It's about choosing to lose the fear of fear itself. It's about deciding, adopting the identity of being somebody who's courageous and faces their fears, and realizing that when you do so, it's expansive and uplifting. That as you let go of the fear of fear itself and you move forwards, you build a whole new level of trust and belief in yourself. It is not through thought, it's not through over planning or overthinking or needing all of the steps to be in place and perfect before you move. It's actually moving before you feel ready. It's moving when it doesn't seem to make logical sense. It's doing the things before you've stretched into the identity of the person who can do the things, and as you're doing them, stretching up. And it's also being in the spaces where so many of the people around you are at that next step, so that you can look to them for the wisdom, for the ideas, for the embodiment. And rather than choosing to see yourself as less than, choosing to see them as inspiring and something to stretch up to. And one of the biggest things looking at these numbers, it was as though the last 4 years, since quarantine, 5 years of my life flashed before my eyes. All of the moments of anxiety, of grief, of letting go of old identity, of letting go of my other business, of doubt, of not knowing if it was going to work. All of those moments, they all suddenly landed in that one second as I was looking at the paper. And realizing, and this is why tears welled up, and I actually allowed them to come down in front of my accountant. She thought it was great, and she wanted to cry with me, and she gave me a hug. She's there for all the things. And that emotion came from the realization of the courage it took to do it all. And so sometimes on this journey, it is only in retrospect, when we come out the other side of the challenging things, we can really see how much we can believe in ourselves, how much we can rely on ourselves, and how much we can trust in ourselves. And so let this audio be the reminder that taking action when you're afraid, that's where courage is forged. Moving forwards when you don't know the next few steps, and choosing that you will find a way as you go. You will get into the spaces that teach you the things and inspire you. Deciding that for yourself, that's where you build self-trust. Because on this journey, inner leadership, self-leadership is foundational. And so my question to you is, what does it mean to you right now to lead yourself on another level? What does that look like on a level of action? What does that feel like in your body? Like, how does the version of you who believes in herself or himself on a whole other level, how does she feel? How does she express herself? How does she move through life? What language does she use? What words does she no longer use? Those of you who are in the school, you will know that as a linguist, I'm continually focusing on language because words are spells. Words have a depth of story behind them that we don't realize we are unconsciously telling ourselves. One word has a story, imagine a whole phrase. And so for us to really truly understand the unconscious programming that's getting in the way of our health, our happiness, our relationships, our income, it's not about the words you use, it's about the story beneath the words and then the story beneath that. And this is where really coaching shows you the blind spots that are really challenging to find on your own. And so on that note, not only do we have our final free masterclass on Wednesday, you can enter into our final sharing giveaway of the year for the chance to win 30 days inside the school. Now, before I tell you about this, a little bit about the journey. The reason we are not doing any more free stuff this year is now we are focusing full on what goes on behind the scenes, in upgrading the services, in creating the manual for the certification for next year, in organizing the in-person experience for the certification students. I'm really looking forward to it. I cannot wait. And so my full focus now is on my clients and on what's going on behind the scenes. And so I invite you to really tap into the value of this, because by doing these things on a consistent basis, the person who wins that 30 days in the school, this can be the experience that changes your life and your business for the rest of your life. The moment you enter the space, you get immediate access to 9 months of material, of sessions that we've done, of audios that have been recorded, of questions that have been posed by the students, and I've answered them in the space. An insane amount of value. And not only that, you then get to join us for 4 lives, where you get coached and mentored on where you're at in business and in inner mastery right now in your journey. So you can come into the space. I know there are those of you were wanting to try out the school. This is your chance. Entering to the sharing giveaway. Now, for you to enter both of those, the link to join the masterclass will be in the description. To enter the sharing giveaway, send me a message. Now, this is for those of you who are really excited to delve into the work that makes a difference. So the level of heart that we invite you to have as you share what we're going to ask you to share is also about the level of heart when it comes to your business and all of the commitment on this journey. So send me a DM for the sharing giveaway. Sign up to the masterclass. And last thing, remember that there will be ups and downs in this road. It is not about looking to external circumstance to determine how you feel on the inside. How you feel on the inside wants to be a constant. And it is up to you to determine how you feel within. This is self-mastery. I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday.